What's up, gang? Dead Girl here. I hope you guys are having a good week so far. Tonight with me, I have a good friend of ours. She is an author, she is an actress, she is amazing and all the things. Jackie Sonnenberg. How are you tonight, Jackie?
Hello, I'm doing very good. I had a day off today, so I had a nice relaxing day, so I'm happy to hang out with you tonight.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. For those that are just tuning in and that are not familiar with you or your work, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am an author and an actor and a cosplayer. So what I do is I write my books and then I create original costumes based on those characters. And I go to conventions dressed as those characters to promote my work in a kind of a fun and interactive way. I figure the best way to introduce people to my stories is to introduce them to the characters. And so far, it's been a really interesting thing to do, a very interesting way to promote myself and introduce people to my work. It's worked out pretty well so far.
It's definitely a very unique approach. Like, I don't know anyone that I've come across or met at a convention or outside of a convention that actually does what you do, that brings your characters to life when you're talking about your books, and promoting them, especially when it comes to, like, the convention scene.
Yeah, it really is something. So I have flyers that will have the name of the book on there and where to purchase it and just a little description about what it is, what it's about, and what the character is. So when people, come up to me and talk to me and they want to know more about it, I just simply, hand them a flyer. It works especially well with characters that don't talk. It kind of does the talking for me, so it helps.
And you have a couple of those. You have a couple characters that you can't really talk in. So you're just like, here's a flyer. It's the best thing. I love it so much.
It's a golden ticket. It's just like, here's everything you need to know. I don't have to do anything else except give the information that you need, basically.
Yes. Now I know the book that we're here primarily to talk about is one of your new books. And I read it. I devoured it in 2 days. It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. But before we get into a little bit more details on that, how many publications do you have out there currently?
Currently, okay. So I've got the three titles that are in this particular collection of Dark Versions of Nursery Rhymes. I'm also in 5 anthologies, which are basically short story collections. Nice. And believe it or not, I actually have 3 nonfiction titles that I wrote back in my journalism days. I mean, I count them. They're books.
They count. They totally count.
Yeah, they count.
You got some love in the chat. Mom and Dad are watching.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Got Hauntine in. He says hello. We've also got Science Behind the Scares in. A bunch of our spooky friends and actor friends.
Hey, Spookies. I miss you all so much.
Dude, yeah. I like the face-to-face here, but I miss, like, the in-person love. So let's kind of dive in. Now, the book that you wrote, and I'm going to pop that title up for us, is going to be The Little Dog Laughed. And this one came out, I know we talked about this earlier, this one came out in February, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
And this one was at a weird time because it was like right before everything went down with COVID-19 and all that craziness happening. And I know that you had this, plan to kind of do like a book tour almost to promote it. And I know that's kind of halted at this point.
What's so funny is there's never a bad time to publish a book. There isn't. Right. But COVID proved that to be wrong. So this came out like right when the pandemic was just beginning to escalate, and it wasn't really showing its ugly side just yet. So, I'm planning for it like I would any other book launch. I've got book signings at Barnes & Noble, and of course I was planning this really awesome themed vampire party at the Vault where we all hang out with our friends, vampire themed party night to do book signings and stuff, and of course, conventions, guest conventions at spots, and all of a sudden everything just kind of stopped, and I couldn't do any of those things.
Yeah,
that was my year.
But it's not over yet,
no.
Which is the good news. The book did come out, so it is available for purchase. I know you can get them via your website, which is awesome, and I'm going to drop that link in here for everybody that's, kind of watching and tuning in. But The Little Dog Laughed is a vampire novel, but it's not like any type of vampire novel that I've read. They're not your typical vampires that we all kind of know from the movies.
Right. And I always wanted to do a vampire story, and I always wanted to do a vampire story that was different. Yeah. I mean, and when I'm writing in general, I want to stay away from the typical tropes and cliches. So with this one, I wanted to take it in a completely different direction and surprise people. I really did. So we do have the girl that falls in love with a rich, handsome vampire man, but that's not the main conflict of the story. It's almost like a secondary thing. They're vampires, but this family that she marries into, they're good vampires. They are not antagonistic. They are not the villain. Here, I would say that the horror elements here, it's mostly vampirism as a metaphor. So the main character gets so consumed by wealth and greed, they turn her into this completely horribly selfish and manipulative person. And what she does is she brings her son to the family, but she doesn't tell them about him because she actually was a struggling teenage mom. So when Felicity meets Conrad, the son of the family, they fall in love and get married, but she has a dark past. She's got some baggage. Mm-hmm. She knows that they're vampires though right away. That's not even the thing. That's secondary. Like she's fine with that. Yeah. She doesn't care that they're vampires, but she is deathly terrified of them finding out that she was a teenage mom, and she thinks that they will not accept her.
Right.
So what she does is she secretly raises her son to be a private blood donor for the family because he has a rare blood type that they actually find very nutritious.
And it's as I read the book, I mean, there were a lot of really fun elements to it and a lot of very interesting ways, especially when you kind of interwove like the first section of the story into the second and how you kind of started to play everything out. But I have to ask, did you intend your readers to dislike the main character, Felicity? Because I hated her. Like, I hated her so much throughout the entire book. I'm like, I hate this woman.
Well, she is, the villain there. She truly is. I mean, the point of the story is you got the two main characters. You got Felicity and Isaac, and it's about how, the vampirism changes them both for the worst. And we see a lot of bad things about Felicity. She goes from rock bottom to up here, then to rock bottom and all over the place, really. So I want her to have shades of gray. Like, I want people to understand where she's coming from, but most importantly, I want them to wonder, what the hell is she going to do? What is going to happen with her? What's going to happen with Isaac? So yeah, she's not a good person. So most people are on Isaac's side mostly.
And Isaac, for those of you that missed it, is the main character, Felicity's son. So when you first meet him, he's like itty bitty baby. She's living with her family. She's, poor. They're down on their luck. They're struggling, and she's a working mom, but she keeps that secret hidden. And it just, oh my God, it goes through a whole other level as the book continues on. And I just personally, my contempt for her kind of grew more and more, and I felt so bad for the child throughout the entire book, and even some of the other characters that are in it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So she raises Isaac in isolation and kind of fattens him up, kind of like a little Hansel and Gretel tie there. And then she drains some of his blood and feeds it to the family, and they don't know anything about it. And actually, she enlists one of the servants in the house as an ally to help her out, and she pays her to be quiet. And Felicity's biggest weapon is her wallet. And the most important thing she cares about is her reputation, especially when she climbs the ladder there in society. She's a lot like the character Becky Sharp in Vanity Fair. I don't know if you or anyone out there has read that, but she marries mainly for status. That's important to her.
And it's very clear early on that's what her main focus is to get that status and to get the money and to be in that higher level of society, like nothing else. And I mean, granted, Conrad, her love interest in the book, is of course one of her top priorities, but he's also a well-to-do vampire, and it's such a great read that I ate it up in 2 days. Like I ate it and it was fantastic. And I'm curious with a couple of things in there. I know you incorporated quite a few different nursery rhymes in the book. So how did you decide to incorporate that specifically, Hey Diddle Diddle? Because that's featured predominantly throughout the book.
Right. That's the one that it is based on. So I didn't really connect that part to it just yet. But when I was looking at the Hey Diddle Diddle original rhyme, you know, you have the cat and the fiddle and you have the little dog. And I was looking at that thinking, okay, I need to do something with opposites, you know, kind of like how a cat and dog are.
Yeah.
So I thought, all right, well, how about we have the cat and the fiddle as a good side and little dog as a bad side. And I was thinking about, you know, those old cartoons. We have the good angel on one shoulder and the devil on one shoulder.
Yeah, like,
you know.
Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, like telling you what to do. I figured they would be representations of Isaac's mind, as he is raised in solitude. He has no one for company, no one to talk to but, you know, himself. So you have the cat and the fiddle that represents, you know, the good side, the angel on this shoulder. Then you have the little dog, which is the, you know, mischievous, menacing side on this side, which, of course, becomes more dominant.
And it's very interesting to see how that develops because he, you know, like you said, he's got no real human contact except his mother and then, you know, the employee that kind of helps to take care of him. So it's interesting to see what he sees as good and then what he also sees as bad and how that plays out with, you know, with his toys and with his own imagination and psyche.
Right. Like when he is getting, you know, when he's getting drained of his blood, the cat is just like, it's okay. Yep. It's okay. It's not your fault. It's not your mama's fault.
You're helping.
That's how they survive. Exactly. That's how they survive. They need you. And the little dog is like, are you gonna take that?
Yep.
What are you gonna do about it? Kind of a thing. Don't take it sitting down.
Yeah. So it's there's a lot of different conflicts that happen throughout the book, and it's the way it played out. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, so I'm going to leave this very vague. I kind of saw it coming, but I didn't see it coming. Like, there was a couple of pieces that I was like, I don't think this is going to happen, and then it kind of went the opposite way. So when you think you have it figured out, you kind of don't. Which is nice. So I have to ask, what was your inspiration to write this book and to get it to go where it ended up?
All right, so this was actually based loosely on Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews. Yes, I love that entire saga. And
so good.
I know it's very controversial, but what I love about it, and I mean, when I say it's based loosely on the story, there's no incest involved here, so right. No, it's nothing like that. What really, really stuck with me about that series was the concept of someone being raised in isolation, mm-hmm. being raised, you know, in seclusion and having no one to turn to, no escape, no way out.
Right.
You know, what happens to someone? And then I had to, you know, incorporate that with the supernatural element and see how that would play out. So that's where Isaac's development and upbringing comes from.
I was going to say, as I thought about that after, like you and I talked a little bit yesterday, and after we got done, I went back to that because those were some of the books that I read growing up, and they were very good, and I enjoyed them very much. And I was like, God, it reminds me, and I couldn't quite place it, and then it hit me that it was very, very reminiscent of Flowers in the Attic.
Yeah, and actually I sort of based Felicity off of the mother Corinne because she's so selfish and she puts money first, but also her name. In the Lifetime movie of Flowers in the Attic, the actress that played Felicity was, what was her name? Heather Graham?
Oh, yeah.
And I believe she played a character named Felicity. So I had her face and her name in mind right away as I was writing this.
That's awesome. I love it. Now, you've got, this book is for sale, and I know you've got it through your website, which is JackieSonnenberg.com, or it's also, I know it's available through Amazon. Are there other outlets where they can find it if they're looking to get a copy?
I mean, yeah, it's mostly online, any online retailers, but since it's with Kindle Unlimited, you can get it on Amazon and download it as an ebook, or of course get a paperback copy.
That's awesome. And I do have to ask you now, when you wrote it, what was your target audience that you were you going more for an adult, or were you going for like that teen into the adult as far as your target audience?
Yeah, this is more young adult, and I think it fits very nicely with the nursery rhymes theme. You know, younger people like that. But honestly, more and more adults are reading it. More and more adults like my stuff than my target audience, and it's just a nice range to work with. I've had all types of ages that are interested in my work and buy it, and that only makes it better. You know, there really is no age limit, but if you have to put it on there for continuity's sake, then there it is. You know,
it's good. I can't wait to check out some of the other stuff that you've done. And you've also got, let's see here, I've got some other ones. You've got a couple of other ones that you wrote. So you have My Soul to Keep.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was the first one. That one is a paranormal novel about a brainwashing death cult, and they have their own ghosts who have their own intentions.
Nice.
So that's a paranormal, creepy, mysterious one. And then looks like we got Lamb Was Sure to Go is in there. It's in there. That one is based on The Omen, so it's Mary Had a Little Lamb as the Antichrist. It's pre-apocalyptic.
I love it.
And of course you got Little Dog. Uh-huh.
That's fantastic. And I know you had also mentioned that you did some work with various anthologies, and this is just one of the ones that I had grabbed to show off. So you're in there, and is that Buttons, I think?
Yeah, yep, Bottone. That's the story of the Italian puppet.
Now, how many of these types of books do you have? I know you've got I found a couple of them. Is it like 2 or 3 that you've got where it's part of a different anthology?
The anthologies, I think there are about 4. Actually.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And can you buy your books separate, or do you have to get the entire anthology to get it a read?
It's part of a whole collection.
Oh, nice. So you don't just get one, you get them all.
Yeah. They're short pieces.
See, I love that. I love that they've got all the different artists and that they kind of bring you guys together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, those were fun, you know, because it's not like I had an idea for that at all. It was like a writing prompt. It was a, submission. Like, here, we have, Carnival of Fear coming out. Do you have anything carnival related? And I'm like, well, not really.
But I can.
I did. And then I did. So I was like, all right, well, sure. Why not?
Now, as far as time frame goes, does it take you very long to write something? What's your normal process? Do you usually start with like a little bit of idea and then just kind of jot it down and build from it? Or do you have something in your head that you're just like, all right, I know what I'm doing, I'm getting it out?
Yeah, like I'll definitely know what like I want the main story to be. You got to have the skeleton first. And then later you just kind of go in and, fill in everything else. You fill in the meat and the guts. And those don't always come planned. So you write an outline for something with general ideas of what you want to happen. But I mean, there's a common expression that the book writes itself. That is very, very true. I like to be surprised personally, because that means that my readers will be surprised. And if I'm happy with it, then they're happy with it.
Definitely. Do you have a favorite out of all the books that you've written? Is there one that holds maybe a little bit closer to your heart?
I think no matter what my current work in progress is, it's going to be my favorite, just because it's new. And just because, like I said, things tend to surprise me along the way, and I like to see where I could go with it.
That's fantastic. I love it. I love a good surprise, and your books definitely do deliver on that. I know we had talked a little bit before about your promotions and what you do as far as getting the word out there, and I've got some pictures from some conventions that we've seen you at over the years. I know we always run into you at Spooky Empire. I think we've seen you at just about every convention that we've gone to, and you're always dressed as a character from your books, which I absolutely think is brilliant.
Thank you.
It's a great way to grab attention, and it definitely makes people kind of want to know more about the characters. So I've got this one here, who is from your Lamb Was Sure to Go.
Yep, that's Mary and the Lamb right there. I love them so much.
And this is one of the ones where you could not talk.
No, I couldn't talk. So when I was writing the story and I was coming up with ideas, for Mary, I wanted her to be as visually unsettling as possible, to draw attention. I didn't want her to just be a plain little girl. She had to have some sort of, weird element to her. And that's when I decided that, well, she doesn't speak. She wouldn't speak to anybody except the voice of the devil in her head. So I thought, all right, well, how about we just take away the mouth and put it on the back of the head, as symbolism. So she talks only to the lamb and she doesn't speak to anybody at all. So this is actually a latex prosthetic piece that I put on. I just kind of put on over it, blended in a little bit, and then it just looks like I don't have a mouth. Then I turn around and people see the mouth.
That's awesome. And you made both. You made the lamb and you made the costume itself, right?
I did. I did have help with the lamb, though, with a former boss of mine in the haunt industry. And we worked on that together, and it turned out to this amazing piece of work right here. It's my little hill beast.
Did you name the lamb?
I just call him Lammy. It just fits. Like, we'll be at a convention, and someone will be texting me, "Are you here yet?" Yeah, I'm putting Lammy together in the parking lot. What? You'll see.
You'll see. By the way, I can't talk, so you'll hand signals.
Yeah, I would have my phone with me, and I would have docs opened, and I would have, like, phrases on there of things that I would need to say,
right?
You know, for any reason, like going into, like, the parking garage, you know, type out this long, "Hey, listen, I'm going to need a golf cart." So, yeah, that actually happened. I was prepared. I was prepared. I had to be.
It's smart, you know. I think it's great. And I do love Lammy. So how long did he take to create?
We worked on him periodically here and there. I didn't have a real deadline time schedule with him because I was working on the book at the same time.
Okay.
So I typically will work on the costume, the character, and the book. But I will work on the costume, and I will get the visuals for the costume down as I'm writing it, because it's a lot easier to already have the visual of the character. I already know what they look like so that I could describe them. It's a lot easier to do that than to try to fabricate what I've written, you know?
Yeah.
And even so, I tend to change things along the way. Like, I'll even be writing something, I'll come up with an idea, and then I literally turned around at my desk and looked around at the costume in progress and went, "Great. I have to do this thing now. What's wrong with me? I have to do it now."
Does that happen often? Is that a thing that you come across more often than you want to think about?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes. Not too often.
Okay, so that's at least good then. Now I've got another one of your costumes here. I love this one. Now this was for one of the other anthologies, right?
Yes, this is actually the very first one I ever did.
Nice.
This is the first character costume that I did for story promotion. And this is based on the short story I wrote called The Slit-Mouthed Woman, which is a Japanese urban legend, a real Japanese urban legend. She's a ghost that wanders Japan. Her face is cut up because her husband caught her cheating. And she wanders around Japan asking people, "Do you think I'm pretty?" And if they answer yes, then she'll, cut their faces to look like her. So I was walking around spooky that year with that and asking people in Japanese. I learned some Japanese phrases and was using those. It worked on some people, not as much, but it was still fun to do. It was my first time doing that.
I love it. She's fantastic. And I love, I've done some research into some of the Japanese ghost stories, and they're interesting.
Oh, they are.
They're very interesting and very different. And if you're a fan of foreign horror, I definitely recommend that you check them out, and definitely check out Jackie's book, man. Check out that anthology. That's another one. You're just like, bam, woman, you're killing it. Do you have anything that you're working on? I know Little Lamb just came out. Is there anything that you're working on currently?
Yeah, I'm always working on a bunch of projects and titles at once, because I honestly don't know what's going to finish first. So if I'm having a hard time with one, I don't know what's going, I can move on to the next one just temporarily. So while I'm working on this collection of dark nursery rhymes, I was also working on another anthology.
Oh, wow.
The Mirror Tales is a dark fairy tales anthology that came out fairly recently, actually. And so my piece in there was based on Brothers Grimm's Cinderella.
Yeah.
It was short. Yeah, it was short. The thing is, I got a little carried away with this one because I liked it so much, and I had to cut it down to fit the anthology. And it was right then and there I decided that I was going to take this one and expand it and include it with the rest of my Dark Nursery Rhymes collection and add the nursery rhyme characters. So I decided to do a mashup. And this one will be a mashup of Cinderella and the Three Blind Mice.
Yes.
And the costume is about 98% done.
Awesome. I'm excited. Now,
almost.
Is Mirror Tales out already, or is that still like? Oh, okay, fantastic.
Yeah, that one you could get on Amazon, and that is it's like a separate thing. that I did. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And it turned out it got more of my creative juices flowing, and it made me happy because it gave me a new character to play with, while sticking to the classics.
Now, I gotta ask you, is it difficult for you to bounce back and forth when you're working on various books, or is it pretty easy for you to kind of flip that switch and go, all right, I'm working on this vampire novel, well, now I'm going to jump over and work on this one? Is that an easy thing for you to do?
Yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes I just kind of take up right where I left off, but other times I'm a jerk to myself, and I will end a chapter, and I'll be so happy with it. I'll be like, okay, I'll let that one chill for a while, and then I'll open it and I'll go, okay, now what? Like, I had an idea for something, but I don't remember what I wrote, so like it helps to just like write like the first sentence or two.
Gotcha.
Then I kind of know like where the characters are, or what were they supposed to be doing, but what they just did, what just happened with them. Sometimes it helps. Okay.
Awesome. I think it's amazing. I love the books. I'm going to have to check out more of them for sure, because they were a good read. The anthologies sound like fun, so I may have to pick some of those up, and then your other 2 books as well. So those are available on Jackie's website through JackieSonnenberg.com, or you can get them from Amazon or a book retailer. Like, just Google search it. Google it. I did drop the link down in the comments box for you guys. And then for those of you that are watching the replay on YouTube, I'll have it in the description box for you guys as well. Now, I know there's probably a lot of people who are checking out who may not have read anything by you yet. So do you have anything that you could maybe give us a sample with?
Oh, yeah, sure. Like read a chapter?
Yeah, or even like a page or a couple paragraphs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's see. I have a couple of paperbacks of Little Dog right here. Yay. I was saving them for an event, that couldn't happen just yet, but we're saving them. Yeah, and actually I marked it because Phantasmagoria actually did a performance of one of my chapters. So I had that. Yeah, I love them. They're terrific. And I actually have that marked here where they read, and I loved it so much that I wanted to, read a little bit there.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I could do that. You could stop me at any time, okay? I promise I won't be hurt.
Okay.
Just like whatever, just for time's sake. So I'll read a little bit, okay?
Okay. So this is from go ahead.
This is from Little Dog Laughed. Yes, and it's gonna be like in the middle.
Okay.
Okay, so here, chapter 21. During any waking hours, during her time at home at the Wellingtons, and time spent at the country club, Felicity gained her poise and sophistication. In fact, it had grown considerably with her transition into a married woman. But during any sleeping hours, she reverted back to the states of vulnerable and unpredictable unconsciousness. Her dreams were telling her who she was, who she really was, and what she had become. They told her what she craved and what she could not escape from. Since that night, she tasted blood of the rarest type, the most sought after, the sweetest and purest taste of her own child. In her sleep, Felicity tossed and turned with images of him in her head. His face, his bright blue eyes, and watching the brightness dim as his blood was sucked out of him and put into bags and then bottles for the family to consume. She clawed at her blankets. She jerked her head wildly in her sleep, opening her mouth wide enough to sink her teeth into her pillow and desperately drink nothing. It was after that night Conrad revealed what her favorite type was, after all. She bolted up awake. She sat upright, and she let her hair fall on her face. The hunger was stronger than ever, clawing at her insides as she clawed at her blankets, though it did her no good. This wasn't what she needed, and she needed to get it fast. There was a part of her brain that had taken over and was making all of her decisions for her. Decisions she did not make during regular waking hours. It was not this part of the brain that decided she would get her midnight snack, and would not rest until it was satisfied. Hastily, she went down to the kitchen and descended the steps to the cellar. She pulled the light to view the labels. She knew which ones were kept where and did a cursory search. She did not want that one, and she did not want that one. She knew which one she wanted, and she wanted it to be there. It had to be there. There was none of it in sight, no matter how strongly she willed it. She pulled her hair in frustration, or maybe like the reins of a horse, trying to will herself not to do what she absolutely wanted to do the most. Her tongue jerked around in her mouth like a snake on the prowl. Her fangs came down, without her doing so, making the decision for her. She ascended the steps out of the cellar to the kitchen, lifted her nose, and sniffed. She smelled exactly what she wanted to smell. Felicity went back up the stairs with an aura of excitement. She knew what it was. She had it all along, and it was her special gift to the family. It was a special gift to herself that she could enjoy as much as she wanted. Felicity walked down the hallway leading to the door at the farmost end. The door everyone forgot about and went in. The scent hit her full force. She did not need much light to see in the room, for she knew by heart, and she knew what was in it. She crept by the bed and touched his warm body, gently breathing up and down in slumber. She caressed his arm and pulled back his pajama sleeve. Humming softly, "Isaac," she whispered. She shook him. "Wake up, my boy." The boy stirred, opening his eyes. She could see the life come back to his face in wakefulness, the curiosity and the startle, the way he raised his brow in dread and fear. All he could see was the dark and fuzzy form of his mother perched by the side of his bed. He could not see the details of her face, how her eyes bulged with sinister purpose, her mouth working in hungry anticipation. "Isaac," she said, "it's time to feed."
Dude, I hate her so much. I hate her. She's such... I can't, man. I can't. You know?
Yeah, she's not nice.
No, she's messed up on all different levels of wrong. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for reading some of that. I appreciate it, and I know our friends, tuning in appreciate it as well. But you do lots of other fun things aside from being an amazing author. You also are a haunt actor. And
yes, I am.
How long have you been scaring the crap out of people for, lady? Because you do a good job. We've seen you in a couple of different places.
11 years.
Really?
Really.
I did not realize it was that long.
Yeah, I started in I don't know, I want to say mid-20s, early 20s, somewhere in there. It's blurred, but the spooky happened.
What was the first haunt you worked at? Do you remember?
I do, actually. And my haunt origin story, I always laugh about it because it was actually an accident.
Oh.
So I actually, yes. So I had a marketing job at a shopping mall. And it was my job to do events for the mall. And I went into a Halloween store to try to do something around Halloween time. And I ended up talking to one of the retailers there who actually worked at the local haunted house. And I thought it would be cool to, do something where I bring that to the mall. Yeah. So long story short, I met with the owner and I visited the haunted house. But I visited the haunted house as the marketing assistant from the mall.
Okay.
But it didn't take long at all for that marketing assistant to disappear and for the real Jackie to appear. And I fell in love with it instantly. And I guess the rest is history.
That's all. I love a good origin story, especially when it comes to haunting. And you worked at a couple of really, very well-known Florida haunts. You worked for the Shallow Grave. How long were you there for?
Shallow Grave, I was there for 2 years.
Oh, wow. And I think you met my husband used to do makeup out there. And I believe, is that where you guys met?
No, I think we met at Spooky.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I got some pictures, because I love pictures, of you from the grave, literally. So this is you out at Shallow Grave. And I know you used to do a lot of the, in the housework, so I know there weren't many photos of you, but this is some of the stuff where you were actually outside roaming the line and kind of tormenting the customers, which is always fun.
Yeah, this was a cute character. This is a cute character, and I just kind of came up with a little ghost girl. So I've always wanted to do a full grayscale thing because I think it just looks so cool. Mm-hmm. And so we did the full grayscale makeup and the clothing, and I was a ghost, and I haunted people and followed them around, and that was fun.
Were you able to come up with your own character?
Yeah.
That's so cool. I love it. Now, how long did you end up doing the line? Did you just do that for 1 year?
Yeah, we did the line. I did the line the last year Shallow Grave was open.
Do you prefer doing the line, or did you prefer actually being in the house?
Oh man, I mean, both are so much fun. It's really challenging to be a Q character because it's like you're always on.
Yes.
You don't really get breaks in between groups. They're kind of just always out there. You have to move around a little bit. You kind of have to, circulate, make sure you don't keep hitting up the same people and look for new people and come up with new and different things to say. very, very strong interaction because people are going to be out there for a while and you're still going to be talking to them for a while.
And you guys,
it's not like you just pop in and leave. It's not like that. It's the opposite of that.
Right. And you guys weren't scripted either. You were just kind of going off the cuff, right?
Oh yeah. And that's the best way to go, because you honestly never know what people are going to say to you. So you kind of just have to be on top of things and just have some ideas in your head and just be ready to hit them with them.
I remember going, I think it was the last night that the grave was open. And I got to see you doing your thing, and it was so much fun to watch, and it was such a fun haunt. Like, it was very immersive and a lot bigger than what I anticipated, especially with some of the props that they had in there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was yes. Definitely a very, very cool haunt. I know that, Florida, a lot of Florida folks who visited the grave miss it dearly. But we've got a lot of new ones.
Yeah, we do.
We've got a lot of new ones that have come up, and some have stayed, and some have been, one and dones, as I like to say. All great haunts. But I know that after the grave ended, where did you end up going?
Well, last year we did Dark Horizon.
Oh my God, yes.
So Dark Horizon was, they're based from California. They're from Dark Harbor. And so they came here to do a Florida version of their haunt, which they named Dark Horizon. And that was a blast too. That one was a lot of fun.
They had quite a few houses, and then they had tons of bars. Like, we went out for media night, and we were there for a while. And
yeah, I remember.
Dude, they had, hidden bars. Me. It was so much. I have a picture. Wait, I got a picture.
You did. You surprised me, and I'll tell you why. Because I was coming after work, and so I didn't have time to really prepare. So I'd come home from work, go to the makeup chair, get ready. I didn't really have time to, rehearse. I had an idea, but the very first group, I pop out, I see all you guys. Great. It's you.
You're like, shit.
And then I gave JD a token for the bar. I remember that.
Yes.
And I'm like, wait, come back. Here.
I have something for you. And that was a really cool thing about that haunt. Mm-hmm. They had a hidden bar, and there were various things that you had to do to find the location of even a coin to even find the bar. So it was mm-hmm. such an immersive and very unique experience that, I've never had going through any type of haunt before. And I thought that was such a cool idea. And the houses in general were awesome. And I got a picture that I snagged from the husband, because he was taking photos and I was doing video during their media event. But I got you here. Looking all creepy. And JD says that he still has the token from Dark Harbor. Dark Horizons. Really? Yeah, he's still, we ended up getting 2, and we didn't end up going back to the bar, and I guess he kept it.
Oh, okay, there you go. It's a token of my affection, no pun intended. There you go, JD.
But I'm...
Yep, thank you.
We've got some friends in the chat. RJ said that you scared the crap out of him, and he had to work with you. We've got Heather Stricker in, who is another amazing haunt actress.
Heather Beans. Inside joke.
Oh, all right. I see how it is. But tell us about this character that you played at Dark Horizon.
Okay, yeah. So Dark Horizon had 3 haunts, and since it was outside in the parking lot of the Holiday Inn Suites, I thought it was very inviting. It was very welcoming. They encouraged people to just you come in, you pay once, and you could drink, hang out, get something to eat, and then you could go through the houses as much as you like, and they had live entertainment going on too. So it wasn't like the traditional haunt where you just pay once, you go in and you're done. Right. It was just an entire evening of fun and different shows and events going on. So you had the 3 houses, you had Voodoo, and you had the Ghost Ship, and then you had Murder Island. Yes. And what was cool about them is that they were based off of historical people and historical places. Of course, so Murder Island was based off of Bloody Ed Watson, yes, the serial killer. And a bunch of us in there, we either played the henchmen to the serial killer, or we played the townspeople vigilantes. And that little girl character that I did was a vicious little vigilante who climbed on stuff and jumped on stuff, and she wanted to chop people's heads off that were affiliated with Bloody Ed Watson because he killed her cousin.
And you're so much fun to watch in a haunt, because when you're on, you're on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're full character, full committed. You don't normally break unless you're surprised, and then you're like, all right, hot second, boom, back in it. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
you typically surprise yourself. You never know what you're really going to do, and you can get away with it because you're in character. I always like to do what's unexpected of me. I really do.
And I think that
It's fun
makes
for
it,
everyone.
and that's exactly it. It makes it fun for everybody. And I think, like, Dark Horizon was such a fun, unique experience because, like you said, you paid one fee, you went in all night, you had 3 houses, you could go in to as many times as you wanted. There was no limit. They had, like, an aerialist performing. They had some fire people doing their thing. They had all different bars and food. It was such a cool experience.
Yeah, guests really liked coming back in the houses, a second or third time and seeing the actors come out of different areas and say and do different things. So it was challenging for us. So, like, kind of look in the corner and you see people coming. You're like, wait a sec, I know them. I'm not going to come out of this hole. I'm
switching it up.
I did this. I'm gonna climb on the barrels and stick my head through the hole in the shack and scream at them, and they're not going to expect that. So I did that, and it turned out well. So there you go. You want to surprise? Then yeah, we're gonna surprise you. We're gonna work with that.
And I thought that was really cool, that it wasn't just like your standard, I'm going to stand in this boo hole and then pop out. Like, you guys roamed all over the different houses. And
that was an absolutely wonderful team at Dark Horizon.
Yeah. I'm bummed that they canceled this year. I totally understand why, but I'm still bummed out because I was really looking forward to, like, we had it all planned out. We were going to get a hotel room because it's, like you said, it's in the parking lot for the Holiday Inn. We're going to get a hotel room. We were going to stay the night and just kind of shut it down and have a great time. And then, the world stopped, and unfortunately that particular haunt decided not to open, but it's fine.
Right.
I hope they come back next year. I hope to see you back there next year. Because it was a blast. And everyone that I've talked to that's worked at that haunt had like nothing but good things. Like, I've not heard anything bad about it.
Yeah, me too. I think it was what people were looking for. It was a little different. I think that's what made it stand out. It was put on by, a wonderful group of people.
Oh, it was outstanding. And the fact that they built what they did in the parking lot, like, I'll be honest, I was very surprised. I was not expecting the level that they brought at all.
Yeah.
So
I really applaud the manpower behind all of that. I do.
It was outstanding. Are you, now I know this year it's kind of slim pickings haunt wise as far as being an actor, even being as a customer goes. Is there anything that you're looking into trying to apply for this year? Have you decided, are you going to take the year off?
No, I don't want to take a year off. I'm always looking for things that are going to happen now, especially this year, the way this year is and the way it's going to be. There are a couple of things that are coming up right now. There are some new places. There are some people that are coming up with new ideas to make a haunted attraction work at this time and make sure that it is compliant with, COVID, procedures and whatnot. They're trying to make something that's going to be, safe for the guests and safe for the actors. I know that's a vague statement, but I think that pretty much blankets all of them.
Yeah.
We don't have a whole lot of information. But I'm very interested. I want to see what people are going to do. So I did send in applications to a couple, and I can't wait to hear back and see, what they came up with. Yeah. How they're going to make it work.
That's awesome. Well, you'll have to let us know where, if you end up at one, you have to tell us which one so that we can come visit.
I promise.
Because we're trying to figure that out too, as far as like distancing and all that. Like, how's that going to work? So we're trying to gauge, what haunts A, are going to be open, and B, which ones that we're going to actually attend. So we would like to visit one where there's family working.
Time will tell.
Yeah, I think so, of course. So I got to ask, I've got a couple more questions, and then we'll see if anybody in the chat has questions. So I started doing this thing where I ask all of my guests these 2 questions, and they're 2 of my favorite questions, and I love getting into this discussion. As far as haunts go, mm-hmm. What's your favorite haunt that you've either worked at or visited?
I've worked at or visited?
Yes.
Man, okay. I have like worked in so many haunts. It's almost like I've worked at like a new one every year. And don't get me wrong, it's great to try new things, but I, I need to stay somewhere for once. I don't need to keep starting over so much. Let's take it easy. Let's take it down a notch. I can't say that I have like one like favorite because they all have good elements to them, and I take something good from all of them.
Okay.
But I started in Illinois, and so the first haunt I started with was called Extreme Hauntings.
Okay.
And then I would say Extreme Hauntings planted the seed, but it was Dream Reaper's Haunted House that kind of sprouted that bud, and that's where I got most of my creativity from. So yeah, that one.
It's a bug. It is like there's a lot of people who are like, it would be so cool, and once you do it, you want to keep doing it. Like you want to keep going back. Like now granted, I haven't really I worked, but I haven't worked. Like I helped JD do some makeup for one of the haunts that we used to work at, which was Trail of Terror, that only ran 2 years, unfortunately, and it was phenomenal. The makeup was fun. It was gory. It was awesome, and it was at like the Brevard Zoo underneath the zipline trail in the woods, and it was so much fun. And I actually got to act there for my first time.
Oh, sweet!
For one of the nights, so I got a taste of kind of what that's like to make a kid pee himself, and it happened.
Oh yeah,
and it was the best feeling ever.
It is. It's completely different. I mean, I've visited haunts. It's very difficult to do so during haunt season because
you're working.
It's an ongoing joke. There aren't enough weekends in October, and there aren't. So you don't necessarily have the time to see much. But I would say during the off season, during conventions, sometimes haunts would be open during said conventions, and you get a chance to see them. But it's a different experience going to one and then being in one. Yes. It truly is. Now, of course, I enjoy being in the haunt.
Right.
Because when I go through haunts, I do appreciate them for what they are. But like I go through with a different mentality. I'm appreciating it. I'm looking at the sets. I'm looking at the effects, the animatronics, the actors, their makeup, their presentation, all of that. So I go in it with like a theatrical romanticism. Like, oh, this is beautiful. Oh, look at the blood on your face. Oh yes, I love
that shade of red. What is happening? And
I love the cuts on you.
Exactly. I love that. Looks
your brains
so deep.
Your brains are coming out of your head. I love it. But no, really, that's it. It's like, oh, how'd you do that?
Yeah, it's so awesome, and I'm in the same boat because like when we go to haunts, my husband worked haunts before we got together, and I miss being on the backside, like the back of the house, like helping him with makeup and stuff. And I miss being there nightly and watching everybody go through and the scares that happen, and then, running through and checking on people and things like that. I miss that, but I also enjoy having my October back like we did last year. We actually had it back to where we could go do all the haunts, and it gives you a different appreciation than you would have if you just, attended as an attendee. They're two different worlds, but they're great worlds to experience. So if you get the chance to act in a haunt, like, do it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome. And then, all right, so my next question that I have to ask is, and I'm not going to try to impersonate it because I'm horrible at impersonations, but what's your favorite scary movie?
I mean, I don't really pick favorites. Like, I like everything, but because there's so many different subgenres of horror. Like, you got the psychological horror, you got the slashers, you got the mystery, the suspense, the paranormal, the found footage, all that good stuff. And we have, so many little series and fandoms and stuff. So, I mean, I would say one movie that I liked that surprised me, going back to what I said earlier about how I like to be surprised.
Yes.
Cabin in the Woods, actually, surprised me.
So good. I love that movie.
Surprised me.
So much.
At first. Yeah. I think I was at a friend's house and I didn't know what it was about, and they were going to put it on, and I thought, okay, let's see. Yeah. A group of co-eds go and they're going to stay in this haunted cabin. Joy. Okay.
And they were all stereotypical.
Put it on. I was like, okay, whatever, put it on. And, I went from just, watching passively on the couch to just kind of sitting up and going, okay, what's going on here?
I'm going to pay attention now.
I'm going to pay attention now, yeah. And, there's some hidden gems in places. Like, Netflix has some hidden gems. I really like Train to Busan, or Busan, however you pronounce that. That's, like, the best zombie movie I've seen in such a long time.
It's so good.
Suspenseful. It's just on point with everything. It hits it every single time, every single scene. It's just beautifully done, and I think they're making a sequel of that, or
Yes.
maybe they already have.
So they did a prequel, and they did a prequel to it that's animated. I have not seen it yet.
Really?
Yes, and then they are making a sequel. There's a trailer out for it I think it's on YouTube already, the trailer, but I don't have a release date for it yet. And I am very against the running zombie. I hate it with a passion. It is not my thing.
Well, yeah, because it goes against rigor mortis.
But, to be fair, I'm more accepting of it if it's a foreign film, because their cultures view what's scary in a very different light. Like, to the Japanese, like, ghosts are the most terrifying thing. You know what I mean? Like, their stories are all, like, 90% of their stories are, like, ghost story based. And they're fantastic. And some of them you're like, whatever. But others are just, like, terrifying. So I'm more accepting of the running zombie if it's in a horror film. Like, in a foreign film. Apologies. But yeah, like, if it's an American film, I'm like, no, they're slow. Just stop.
Americans are slow.
Americans are slow.
American zombies are slow.
American zombies are slow. Rigor mortis sets in. So yeah, so eventually I'm going to do a show that's, like, strictly zombie based, and we're going to just go to town. So
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
It'll be fun. But we did have some questions in the chat. I have a gentleman, Brian, asking, what inspired you to get into writing horror?
Writing horror? Well, I'm a writer in general, so that kind of chose me at a young age. But honestly, I blame haunted house acting for having me write horror. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense.
Yes.
I mean, I grew up reading, like, Goosebumps, that kind of thing as a kid. But it wasn't until I got into character and I got into setting. It's just like, yes, I love horror. I want to scare. So I was trying to merge my worlds together with that. And then that's, of course, where the costuming came into. Yeah. So, yeah, they all work together very, very well. I blame haunted house acting.
It's a great blend. It's definitely a great blend. And I got to ask, what made you decide to bring your characters to life? To promote your books? Where did that idea hit you? Was that also from, like, haunting and being in costume? Yeah,
because it seems like every haunt that I went to, I would just create my own character for the scene or the setting that I was in. So that just kind of came naturally. And most of the time would be something, simple that would work for the room that the haunted house people were good with, that worked. And other times it was just something very, very detailed with. Not a lot of haunt actors do this, but those that do, they incorporate backstories. Yeah. Whether they project that onto the patrons that come through, or it's just in their mind so that they could play their character well. But just creating that, of course, was a story in itself. So it became easier to write about them.
That makes perfect sense. And I like that you mesh, you kind of bring all of your worlds together when when you write your books, when you're costuming, and I don't want to say, like, soliciting, because it's really not. It's more of a showing, hey, here's the face of it, but here's more, there's more to the story, so to speak. So I really like that you bring all of that together.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic, and I hope that you continue to do that for many a moon to come, because it's entertaining. I always love to watch what you're going to come up with. And every convention we go to, I'm always like, all right, where's Jackie? What is she wearing? Can she talk? And am I going to know it's her? Because there's, like, buttons I didn't know was you.
Not a lot of people did. That was the best. That was hilarious. There's a lot of anonymity with that one, and it was quite fun to play with people.
I initially thought, like, it was a little boy in there. Not saying you look like a boy at all. I'm just saying, like, that particular costume was not
no,
like
that's good.
Gender specific.
No, that's good. That means I did my job, and I made myself look like the character that I wanted to do.
Oh,
I think it's funny. We haven't, like, I actually didn't meet you as me for a while. I don't think.
No, I kept meeting you in costume, like, all the time. I think I met you as you, like, at a random thing. I think it was.
Oh, it was probably at the vault.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It was probably we were all at the vault, and I was like, Erica, and you're like,
who are you?
Went, oh, wait, hold on, it's me.
You're like, hey, I normally don't have my regular face on. Because but I think that's so much fun, and I enjoy that very much. And whenever I think about you, that's like always the thing that pops into my head is like, all right, I know you from your characters, but I've gotten to know you a little bit better, and it makes things so much more fun and more special.
It's the size, honestly. If I'm ever in something that's different and it's, a small person in a costume, people are like, is that you? I'm like, yeah, it's me.
It's me. We need to get you one that has like stilts, or at least give you some height to really throw people off.
Maybe. I'll consider it.
We gotta figure that out.
Consider it. Mm-hmm.
I've got RJ asking, what was one of your worst haunt experiences? #Nipplegate.
Oh man.
Do I want to know?
That wasn't me. That wasn't me. Actually, that was him. It's a Dark Horizon joke. Okay. I would say just stupid injuries. Yeah. In a haunt, because you get so excited, you get so into what you're doing that you push the envelope. You do a little bit more to make the experience unforgettable, to get that scare. So I would say any like stupid injuries, like busting your knee, through a crate.
Yeah.
Busting your elbow through a wall. Let's see, kicking a door over and destroying it.
Oops.
Not me. Just kidding. It was. Just kidding. No, it was. Oops. But yeah, I would say just injuries in general. Walking with a limp. I did a harness position too at Dark Horizon. I was flying water demon, which was like the best title ever. And I was in the harness. I was in the harness roll, and I flew through this hole through a facade that looked like a cave, and I just screeched at people. That was a lot of fun to do.
Was that in the voodoo house?
That was in the voodoo house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it hurt a lot, and I didn't realize it hurt a lot until the next day at work when I'm walking around like John Wayne, and people are like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Let me tell you about my weekend."
Let me tell you what I did.
Yeah. So those sneak up on you, but there are battle scars, there are battle wounds. I'm sure people have lots of interesting stories to tell there.
Yes, and I love hearing all of them. It's always not entertaining, but it's informative because I don't think that folks realize just how much haunt actors go through as far as like physically go through, because you're out, like, especially in Florida, like up north, it's cold. You can get warm, but in Florida, it's like 90 degrees in August at 10 o'clock at night, and you're just pouring sweat, and you're still giving it, or you're all, in a haunt, and it's a very different... There's a different level of respect that I have for haunt actors. That's for sure.
I mean, there is, because I learned that firsthand. Going from Illinois haunting to Florida haunting is the drastic change in temperature. I did like this weird like scarecrow swamp creature at Shell Grave, and I had so many layers on because haunting is layers. You have like this, that, this ripped up, blood here, injury here. It was just like, oh no. It's no, this can't work. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, that's, like I said, I mean, kudos, because you guys go through a lot. I got one more question from JD, who is a very random question, but I'll ask it anyway. He says, do zombies smell and hear food since their eyesight probably breaks down post-mortem?
Probably.
I would think so. I would think that some of their senses would remain, and if their eyesight's gone, I would think that maybe the smell. Because even, in most movies, if you watch the zombies, they tend to be able to, they can still hear you clearly, and that's, I think, one of the key things, and then a lot of the times, like, if you're in some movies, if you're bleeding, they can smell it. It's almost it's almost vampiric in a way, that they mesh that.
Yeah, I don't know why zombies would have such heightened senses, but that seems to be pretty canon. Doesn't it?
No, you're absolutely right. You're dying, and you're a dead thing, and rigor mortis is setting in, but yet you can hear a pin drop 6 miles away.
You can hear the people running that way.
Yes, you know exactly
all
where
the way down
going.
there. Yep.
And eventually, you'll get to them. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight and for chatting with us and for talking about your books with us. And again, if you guys want to purchase any of Jackie's books, she can be found on Amazon. You can check out her website, JackieSonnenberg.com. Go on there, buy some books, get your reading on. I think it's important. So thank you so much. I'm gonna have you hang out for a minute while I wrap up.
Cool.
So yeah, hang on. Now, next week, we actually have a special guest on Wednesday. We have Mr. Michael Burnett. He has done, oh my God, he's done over 100 films in the TV and movie industry. He's worked Halloween Horror Nights for 20-something years, doing a lot of props and things out there. So we're going to have him on next Wednesday. We're going to be talking about all kinds of goodies, and we're also going to be doing some giveaways. So make sure that you watch and tune in, because you might be able to score some goodies. And then the last thing I want to talk about real quick is the Bespook Box. It is still available at bespookbox.com. The August theme is Jaws. I did an unboxing video of their very first box, and it was amazing. So I do have that up on the YouTube channel, as well as here on Facebook. Make sure that you go and order this, and this is available up until August 20th. You can order them monthly, by 6 months or 12 months. If you order a 6 or 12-month box, use coupon code DEADGIRL for free shipping. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, make sure that you keep it spooky.